Welcome to the No Limit Selling Podcast, where industry leaders share their advice on how you can become better, stronger, faster. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the No Limit Selling Podcast. Today we have Stacey Copas with us today. She's the queen, not of Australia, but the queen of resilience. Stacey, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today, Uma.
Thanks so much. You're all the way in Sydney. It's 6 something in the morning, so I appreciate you getting dolled up. I know you're wearing pajamas from here down, but that's okay.
I like to call it newsreader style, and we've been able to do that a lot over the last few years, haven't we? So, the newsreaders on TV, you see them in their suits on the top, and you see them in their board shorts at the bottom. So, I think we've all been able to do that over the last few years. It's good fun.
So they have CNN is, a worldwide brand name, but when the early days, they were on a shoestring budget, and one of the lights when they were actually doing a live broadcast kind of popped, and something hot went down and landed on the anchor's lap. He said, and my pants are on fire. He just kind of went on, and that's resilience, right? And so to have resilience, I'm going to get you to define it in a moment. Well, let's define it first, and then we'll play with what resilience really means. What is resilience to you, Stacey?
To me, I have a slightly different take on resilience to most. I've found, particularly in a business context, that over the years, resilience seems to have become synonymous with coping. And I feel that sort of sets a really low bar for it. I think that's the starting point of resilience is how do you cope with challenges, things not going to plan, adversity and such. I like to look at it as a step further. I like to look at it is how do we actually grow, learn and become stronger by being challenged? And I look at it, how do we grow through challenges rather than just go through them? And how do we thrive rather than just survive? And I also see resilience rather than a reactive strategy. I see resilience as a proactive strategy. It's something that through doing rituals and practices on a regular basis, we can build up our resilience. And I was in an interview recently and someone said, oh, so it's like a capacity building. And I'm like, that's exactly how I see resilience. It's building a capacity. Whereas a lot of the time people say, resilience is purely how do you react or respond or cope when something doesn't go to plan. So I sort of see resilience as probably 75 to 80% proactive. And then that 20 to 25% is how do you react and respond in the moment when you hit with a challenge.
So I'm going to pop another phrase out there, get your take on it, and then we'll kind of see how these two things connect. Being comfortable in one's skin. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think being comfortable in one's skin is really being connected with who you are.
Yeah.
And actually and then learning to love that. So I think first of all, it starts with figuring out who you are, like who you are, what you are, why you're here.
Right.
And then beginning to love that. And that, I think just even that phrase to some people would make them feel very uncomfortable. And
which phrase?
The being comfortable in one's skin.
Yeah. So I think very much in order to be comfortable in one's skin, and before I go down that path, that if you are comfortable in your skin, you have a certain level of resiliency that just naturally comes with that. So that's why I'm connecting the two. But in order to feel comfortable in your skin, you need to know who you are, as you articulated earlier. And most people don't. They have an illusion of who they think they are. I actually call it the delusion. This is who I think I am. But this is what I show people on the outside world. Look at me, I'm pretty and amazing. And then we have this internal version of ourselves. Then we have that third space, which is who we actually are. And I think knowing that gives you a foundation to build an amazing life. And that foundation allows you to be resilient. And when you have a footing that's not solid, then it's really hard to be resilient because there's no foundation there.
Yeah, I agree. And also when there's a different version of, oneself being projected, that takes a lot of effort. And that's the other thing. Yeah. So people put in all this effort to project a version of themselves that they either feel that other people need to see or want to see, or there's that sense of, are they not good enough as they are? And sometimes people just don't even take the time to really spend time with themselves to really discover that. I think that's why there's so much
Just
addiction. Everyone's running from something, or running, running, but not actually stopping and spending that time with them, with themselves. And that's why, for me personally, I think that's been one of the biggest gifts of the last few years, is all of the external circumstances became almost impossible. And really, we did, if we looked at the gift in it, we actually then go, well, everything external is so challenging and so difficult. Take the time to come back and go, okay, let's just sit with myself. And I love the phrase that the way forward is inward.
I love that too, but I think
Yeah.
I'll challenge you in what you're saying, Stacey, that this crazy talk that you're talking about, for a lot of people, they rather walk on broken glass than look inward, or take the time to have silence. I know I have this device here that keeps me, when I want to be distracted, I can be distracted. And when I don't want to look at my problems, obviously I see yours, Stacey. Let me help Stacey. How could Stacey? So we've lost that art of looking inward, because once you do that, I think there's an authentic version of me, of you. And when we reach that, it allows us to portray that to the outside world. And people feel safe around that kind of human being, because it's like, oh, Stacey, when she's on stage or meeting the Prime Minister of Canada, Trudeau, or just hanging out with Umar, it's the same person shows up. And there's very few people that end up doing that. And the people that do that just feel comfortable in this amazing gift that we have, this body.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And then some of the feedback that I've gotten over the years, that people will come and see me speak at an event, and afterwards they'll go, "Oh my gosh, you're totally the same," or "You're totally the same as who I saw in a YouTube video." And I'm like, yeah, that's it. And it's just so, and I think the more of us that do that, then I think that makes it gives people permission to do that as well. But as you said, people would rather walk on broken glass. The smartphone, it's never been easier to be distracted, or to numb, or to seek an escape. And mentioned before about spending time in silence. And as soon as you said that word silence, just a line of a song just popped into my head. I'm a bit of a human jukebox, so I hear a couple of words and my brain goes, oh, this song starts playing in my head. Sober by Pink. And there's a line in that song that says, "The silence scares me because it screams the truth." And I'm just like, first time I heard that, I was just like, whoa, how powerful is that?
And that kind of lyric, I'm not sure where they got that, but you could tell that it could be just in that one of those quiet moments where you kind of go, oh my God, I am whatever we end up being. And sometimes we are like freaking fantastic. And sometimes we realize that it's just bravado, or we realize that the reason my mother-in-law drives me nuts is, oh my God, it's not her, it's me. When you get one of those, you can only get that in those silent moments. So you were talking about, this is something that we can develop, this muscle, this capacity. So the reason I think is really important is people give up too easily. And if you have resilience, so we were talking about sales. In sales, people need to hear rejection a few times before they get the yes. This is not to be like a pain in the butt. I'm going to force you to buy something, Stacey, that you don't want, and I don't care you're buying it. But if it's like, Stacey, would you like to buy this? And you go, well, right now it's not the right time. It's like, oh, okay. Almost like a, whew. When would be the right time? 6 months? I'll call you then. And it's just like we dodged a bullet, rather than pushing back a little bit. Like, why do you want to wait? Resilience allows you to do that. So how do we build that muscle?
Yeah, there's simple strategies that you can use. And the way I look at it, it's very much like going to the gym. So when you go to the gym, you are doing very simple, repetitive tasks,
Mm,
and you do them over the time, then the compounding effect then builds strength.
yes.
And so resilience, very much like that. So I in my book How to Be Resilient, I broke down principles of resilience. And then since I wrote that book, then I've then broken it down further into what are the specific rituals we can use to build those aspects of resilience. So the first one, like if people go, where's the simplest place to start? And for me, it's gratitude. But I have a little bit of a different perspective on gratitude, because most of the time we hear people go, oh, look, keep a gratitude journal and write down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for in the morning and 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for in the afternoon. Now, I tried that, and when I try things over time. I don't just try something once and go, nah, didn't like it, didn't work, because it's an
Oh,
easy, it's also an easy thing. No, I tried that once. So I tried it for a period of like 60 days, and at the end of it, I reflected and I'm like, did this create an experience of gratitude for me? And the answer for me was no. I found that it felt like a chore. It felt like an obligation. It felt like it just it felt a little bit wanky for me, if that makes sense. So over time, then I started to go, well, how can I create an experience of gratitude that feels real and is simple and I can do anywhere, anytime, and so can anyone, with no excuses. And so what I found works best for me is I use a gratitude mantra.
A mantra.
And so a mantra, yes. And so I use a gratitude mantra, and I use that in the morning when my alarm goes off. I hit stop on the alarm, never snooze, always stop. And then before I get out of bed, I take a moment, a couple of deep breaths, and I say, thank you for the opportunity to be who I am, where I am, with what I have at this moment in time.
Mm.
Thank you for the opportunity to be who I am, where I am, with what I have at this moment in time. And that just grounds you so completely in the moment. And I've said, combining that with good breath. And it's just such a great way to start the day. And then I bookend that. So at the end of the day, get into bed, turn the light out. And the last thing that goes into my programming before I go to sleep, thank you for the opportunity to be who I am, where I am, with what I have at this moment in time. And so I'm programming my mind, and so that whatever's running in my head overnight is an experience of gratitude. I wake up and it's gratitude. And then anytime during the day, say, we're talking about the context of sales, say it has been one of those things where there's been a day where there's just been, no after no after no after no. It hasn't been just a, thank you and walk away, but there's been that dialogue and there's been that exploration to get a deeper understanding of where that no at that time is coming from. And sometimes you can feel like, it just feels impossible. And
Yeah.
they're the times again to just stop, take a couple of deep breaths, lift the shoulders, exhale, and just go, thank you for the opportunity to be who I am, where I am, with what I have at this moment in time. And it's just such a good reset.
So I want to backtrack a bit, because something that really sparked my interest. You said that in the morning you do this mantra with good breath. So are you claiming that you wake up with good breath in the morning? Because I have to brush my teeth to get good breath.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. There's a difference between good breath and
Good breathing, yes.
and beautiful aromatic breath, isn't there? I
There
love
is.
it.
So before we go any further,
that.
let's go listen to one of our sponsors, because it's all about mindset. Here's Mindset Boosters. If you're ready to let go of anxiety, let go of uncertainty, let go of doubt, Mindset Boosters gives you the ability to decide how you act and feel in any situation. Ready to take charge of your mindset? Go to mindsetboosters.com. So if anybody wants to check this out, if you look way over there, there's a QR code. It'll take you to the site. Play around with it. It'll change your mindset. It'll change your life. So Stacey, I love that mantra. And dear listeners, there are many ways to get to San Francisco, and this is certainly one of them. and find what works for you, because having that confidence in yourself is so critical. What's another technique people can use to develop resilience?
Yeah, the other one, as along with gratitude, my other non-negotiable, and is journaling. And a lot of people go, journaling, oh my gosh, I'm not a writer, I don't know what to write about. Or again, I tried that once and I picked up the pen and I didn't know what to write. And for me, then the way I encourage my clients to start journaling is a commitment to write just one sentence.
Mm.
And then the prompt that I ask people to, or suggest people to start with, if again, the blank page can be quite daunting, but at the end of the day, this is one of my, before I go and clean my teeth and get ready for bed of a night activity, is just to start the sentence, today I had the opportunity to.
Nice.
And complete the sentence. And to me, it starts to, again, we're all about we want to look for opportunities. We're not looking for problems, because again, you get what you focus on. That the saying about where focus goes, energy flows. And so we want to start to condition ourselves to look for the good. And so if you can just write that sentence, today I had the opportunity to, and just commit to the sentence. Often you'll find that over time, then that sentence turns into 2 sentences, 3 sentences. I have some nights where I keep my journal electronically, and I've had sometimes it's turned into 2,000 words.
Wow. Nice.
2,000 words, because it's wherever that just that you start with a sentence and then it's incredible where it goes. Because what I love about journaling is it gives you the opportunity to be more self-aware of your thought processes, getting them out and then looking at them back. You can actually start to be more aware of the language that you use, because language is a huge part of resilience. Because I see that how you describe a situation is how you experience a situation. And people have a tendency to be overly dramatic and overly negative about how they describe things. And let's say they awfulize situations.
Yeah.
And
it's in the word, you should coin it.
Awfulize. Yeah. Awfulize. I have to do 2 versions though. I've got to do the Australian, Canadian and English spelling, and I've got to do the American spelling, whether it's the S or the Z, isn't it? So
which is quite silly, isn't it? It was that old adage, 2 countries separated by a common language, Britain and the US. So let's play a game, Stacey. Let's play a game. Why don't we each come up with a technique that would allow someone to be more confident, or love themselves more, or just build a happier life? And the things I liked about your 2 examples so far, so I'm cheating them. I got 2 of your best ones out of the way, so I got a fair shot at this, is that it was bloody simple. That you don't have to do these complicated things, just do something small to move forward. So would you like to kick us off? And let's see how many we can get done in the remainder of the show. Simple techniques to allow people to be awesomer, happier, more loving.
Yeah. And the beauty of it, like, simplicity is amazing, because a lot of people talk about, like, they think, oh, it's too simple, and they look for something more complicated. But there's such power in simplicity, and simplicity is one of my personal and business values. It's how can we distill this down to the most simple way, and then obviously there's a compounding effect of simplicity.
Yeah. So power that you'd probably like a lot. It's one of my favorites. It's Einstein. Number 1, if you want to look intelligent, you do an Einstein quote. It kind of rubs off on you. It goes something like this: I don't care for simplicity, but simplicity on the other side of complexity is a beautiful thing. And oftentimes, if you think about it really hard, you come up with this amazing, simple thing to do. So it's not just like people throwing it out there. Thought's gone into it to allow it to be simple. So kick us off, Stacey. What's your first piece of advice?
Okay, so as far as building your level of confidence, one of my go-tos is music, and it's one of my rituals for resilience. So the idea there is, if you can find a song, I recommend people find a go-to song, have it on your phone, have it accessible all the time. what is the one song that you can play that if you then immerse fully in it, you sing, you move. I used to just say dance, but then a lot of men would go, eh. I'm like, okay, perhaps you can do some shadow boxing to it. It's whatever you
very
do.
much. Very much.
Yeah, so shadow boxing. I actually like the shadow boxing myself personally, but whatever you can do to fully immerse in a song and move with that beat of the song. So, sing along, move with it, and it's just incredible how the movement, the increase in the breath, it just can completely shift the way you feel in 3 to 5 minutes. Again, these really simple things. And then I've actually created a playlist on Spotify called Resilience Rocks.
Oh, I'll check
And
it out.
yeah,
We'll put a
so
link for it in the show notes.
yeah, I'll pop the link over to you. So Resilience Rocks, and there's a lot that's mainly rock because that's my
So
vibe.
music moving us, love it.
Yeah, and how about yours?
So one for me would be each day reach out to someone that means something to you and let them know what attribute they have that you love. And just by doing that, it just it makes their day. You don't take people for granted, and just that warmth feeling that you get from doing something for just the hell of, I want Stacey to feel good because she's important to me. I'm going to share this thing with her. Makes me feel good about myself, and it lets me just have a better, more fun day. Number 3 for you, Stacey, what would you recommend as your next piece of advice?
Sunshine.
Oh, I love it.
There's something powerful about sunshine. I like to say that I'm solar powered. I used to say that I was a reptile and I needed to, but I'm like, no, I'm solar powered. I get a lot more energy from the sun. And so I find, again, on those days where might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed and things might be a little bit more challenging than usual, then I find if I can get out onto my balcony in the afternoon, and what I love to do is I like to just sit and close my eyes, and I like to say that my eyelids are my solar panels, and just feel the sunshine on my eyelids and just be super present in that moment. And there's just such a life force around the sun.
Yeah, it's the force of our solar system. And for some people, it's a very morning thing that when you wake up, go out in the sunshine, and it attunes your body to this is the rhythm of sleep, and it just locks it in more. So here is my next one. So it'd be number 4. We're not counting the 2 you did earlier. Is how could I make this interview better? Or how could I make this sales appointment better? Or how could I'm going to the convenience store to pick something up. How could I make that experience better? And just by asking that question, it opens up your mind and you'll always get an answer. How could I make this interview better? I could smile more, right? And so, yeah, better is such a beautiful word.
Yeah, I love that. And I guess I'm going to piggyback on what you just said there. I'm going to go a yes and on this one. And I think anytime we're out, then making a conscious effort to make eye contact and smile with strangers. Those little tiny micro connections that you have with a complete stranger, it might even be just a split second, but there's something so powerful about it, because so often when people are out and about, they're these days on their phones more than anything, even while they're walking around, or they're looking at the ground, or they don't actually make eye contact with the people around them. And that was one of my favorite things, to just go and even just jump on a train, do those type of things, and just smile and make eye contact. Sometimes just a smile and an eye contact turns into a conversation that you otherwise may never have had. And the other thing is, you never know what is going on in someone else's world. You hear these stories about that somebody was at such a low point in their life that they'd made a decision that day was going to be their last.
Right.
But then some stranger actually made them feel seen, even for a moment. And that smile could actually save someone's life. And
Yeah,
again, it's so simple.
absolutely. And I think I love that. Just taking the moment to acknowledge another human being is so important. I guess one of the things is really asking people this question, even in a sales context or a life context. So I'm going to ask you that question to kind of demo it. Stacey, you do a lot of teaching. What do you value about that? What's important to you about teaching?
To me, the value in teaching is being able to share something that I've experienced that, again, seems so simple and so effortless in times for me, but being able to then articulate that, particularly with simplicity, in a
Right.
way that makes it so doable and achievable and tangible, and oh my gosh, I could do that. I don't see any barriers to it. It's a gift. And I think that, like, teaching is one of the most ultimate gifts. And I love that. And again, just really starting to connect, as you said, like, getting to know what people value
Yeah. And just like
it's
asking that question, A,
connect.
you honor that person, and B, I'm really interested in what you value in the craft that you do. And just uh, you could see the connection with you and I increased immediately. Something that you came up with that you articulated that I did not know before is that you really see this as a gift. And so, yeah, asking people that lets them be heard. And also, you get to know them. And at some level, they get to know themselves as well. Because sometimes when they articulate that, it's like, holy shit, yeah, that is important to me. So the tennis ball is on your side of the court, Stacey.
Yeah. And what I love about this too is I always look at it as like, conversations create content, conversations create context,
Yeah,
conversations create connection. There's so much value in conversations. And I think, and again, and questions. It's asking thoughtful questions when you are interacting with other people, and being super present and listening for their answers, not listening to respond. And
yes.
that's such a big one. And I know that was something I was super guilty of when I was younger. And I realized it was because in my you had to interrupt to get your word in. And so it was always just trying to get your point across rather than listening. And I think one of the things that can just be super powerful for people is, if you and I were to meet for the first time, and we're sitting down over a cup of tea, and I just go, tell me the Uma story.
Nice. Yeah. And that's a brilliant question. Superb. I love that. So I'm going to do my last one. Then I'm going to change the game. So what's the last thing I want to share on how to kind of make people feel valued, more confident, more loved? So getting to know someone, one of the things I ask people is, who is a teacher that you had that you loved? And they go, oh, so who's the teacher for you, Stacey, in your education? Who's the teacher that you kind of go, oh my God, I'm so happy I had this person as a teacher?
Yeah, I think one of the ones that I have a moment that stands out the most for me was my year 10 English teacher.
Mm.
My year 10 English teacher, Mr. Morris. And yeah, it was just it was not even to do with English.
We had the
That
same person. It was my grade 9 teacher, Mr. Higgins, and he taught English, and it wasn't about English. It was about life and living, and it was like magical. And so
exactly.
I asked that question for people. Then I asked them the follow-up question, which is, how did they get the best work out of you? How do they get you to go above and beyond? And then the person says, oh, they just gave me a direction to go in and they'll let me go. Or someone else says, well, they gave me clear instructions what they wanted. And then people reveal how they want to be led. And you get them to connect with a teacher that they loved, and it changes their entire being. And then while they're in this state, you say, well, how do they get the best out of you? And they go, well, the way they got the best out of me was this. And then as a leader, I go, okay, I know how to lead Stacey now in the way that she needs to be led. And that's a great way of honoring that person and also help them be more confident and get the best out of them. So as we change the game, Stacey, at the end of our thing, what question do you have for me? When's this podcast over? Other than that, what question do you have for me?
Yeah. What I would love to know, what has surprised you most about being a podcast host?
That's a good question. What surprised me most? I guess what surprised me most is that everybody has something valuable to share with the world. And sometimes they don't have the platform to share it, or sometimes they don't have the right host asking them that question that allows them to share it. But oftentimes we see ourselves smaller than we are, but our friends can go, oh my God, Stacey's like freaking magnificent. And so, yeah, just knowing that people have valuable things to share. You just need to get them in the right state, ask the right questions, and listen to what they say without, like, the reason I do this is my highest value is learning. And so when I'm asking questions, it's to learn something new from Stacey that I can go, oh my God, that's like total BS. Or, oh my God, that's genius. Or I'm not sure what that is, but I'm going to put that on the fence till I figure it out. But so for me, I'm very selfish. I just want to learn new things. And Stacey came out to play to teach me. So thank you, Stacey.
Thank you. It's been such a wonderful conversation and a great way to start my day.
And we're going to put all the links below so you can find Stacey. And this is one of the critical life skills, is to be more resilient. If you don't do it for yourself, do it for your kids. Do it for the people that follow you. Because if you talk a good game and say, you got to be resilient, never give up, do this, and you don't practice it, that's not helpful. So want to be resilient? Tune into Stacey. And Stacey, hang on as we kind of do an outro, and we'll chat after the show's over.
Wonderful. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. And if you're looking for more tools, go to my website at nolimitselling.com. I've got a free mind training course there that's going to teach you some insights from the world of neuro-linguistic programming, and that is the fastest way to get better results.